What is going on, guys? Today I have a very special video for you. We don't often on this channel look at a lot of viewpoints that are contradicting. We kind of focus on, what is in line with the view that personally I have on a stock. And what we're going to do in this video is we're going to go the opposite direction. I think it's always important to take a look at people who have differing views than you and basically figure out, does your argument and does your belief stand up against what they are saying and what their belief is. And that's what we are doing here today. We are actually going to be taking a look at Michael Burry, the big short, the guy who basically shorted the housing market and made millions and millions and millions of dollars in 2008. We're going to take a look at what he has said on Meta and what we believe, could actually happen over the coming years that could be different than what Michael Burry actually sees happening for Meta. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like down below. And if you want to see more videos like this one, make sure you hit that sub button. Let's start off by recapping where Meta stock has gone over the last month, over the last 6 months, over the last year. So here today on Friday, it actually was up 1%. They had a terrible earnings announcement. So the stock was trading around 130 and then fell through the floor on earnings down below $100 and then has basically leveled off there. And what we've seen over the last month is, again, basically trading sideways in that 130 range up until earnings. Last 6 months, we can see that the stock is down over 50%, which is absolutely insane. Back in May, it was trading as high as $223 and now down all the way below $100. So absolutely insane. Over the last year, we can see that the stock is almost down 70%. So we could see back in November that the stock was trading around $345. And again, we are under $100. Absolutely insane. And then over the last 5 years, the stock is actually down 45, almost 45%, which again is absolutely crazy to think that Meta stock is being priced worse than it was in 2017 and how much the basically company has changed over that time. So it's absolutely crazy, where the stock is at. And obviously, if we were shorting the stock back in, around $370, $380, that would have been a really good play. But right now, we're down 45% over the last 5 years. Maybe not the best play. Let's go ahead and jump into what Michael Burry thinks is going on with Meta stock. Here's the article that we are going to take a look at, and it is titled "Big Short, Michael Burry Says Facebook is in Big Trouble." And honestly, I looked over the internet and looked over all the sources that I could find, and there isn't anything clear as to whether Michael Burry has actually shorted Meta stock. If he did, then obviously he's, turned out big over the last month. There's been obviously a lot of downward moves, and even over the last 5 years, if he shorted Meta stock, other than all the interest payments that he would have had, he would have been correct in the stock being lower than it was 5 years ago, which is absolutely insane to me. But the biggest thing from Michael Burry is this tweet. So he posted a tweet that says, "Seems Meta has a new Coke problem." And we're going to go ahead and jump into this article, and it basically explains what this actually means. Because when you first read this quote, it's not really what you think that he's talking about when he says new Coke problem. I find this as a very interesting part of the article. What we have highlighted and read here just kind of speaks to some of the lack of vision from some people who are looking at the metaverse from a very negative sense. So I'll read this off real quick and then give my comments on it. So the chief executive officer, so they're talking about Mark Zuckerberg, has envisioned metaverse as the future of his company, which includes Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram. Metaverse is an immersive world in which we will have parallel life via avatars. So this is very interesting to me, this comment, right? So parallel life via avatars. I, in my opinion, just don't see that as being the huge selling point of metaverse, right? There is that aspect, and I see that as being, a smaller part of the overall picture. It's like if you looked at the internet and basically said, okay, we have this video game sector where people could play video games with each other across, where I'm sitting in my home and you're sitting in your home, and we're playing with each other, playing Call of Duty, whatever. But at the end of the day, that is a very small part of the internet and what it has become over the last, 20, 30 years. So to look at this and basically say that the metaverse is boiled down to just this life via avatars, I don't see that as being the vision. They kind of touch on here at the last couple of words is augmented reality. Augmented reality is the final vision. That is, in my opinion, where all the money is coming from, where all the practicality and usefulness promise of the metaverse will come from in the future, right? Right now, we are just in the early stages of basically how does this niche market kind of fit into our current societal lives? And then how can we get that into people's lives and expand it so that it encompasses more of their everyday life? A huge example of that is very simplified here. So I have this picture pulled up and we have Living Socials kind of showed on here. I don't even know what broadcast this is, but we've all seen this before where basically there will be something put on the field that is some sort of advertisement, that basically the football team is getting money for, or the football network is getting money for. So football games, you see this all the time. And this is a very basically it's augmented reality, in a very simple sense, right? They're placing this logo, they're having it set there on the field, and it's basically free advertising on this field for the network. And what I see augmented reality going to in the future is potentially something similar, right? If there is a contact or a glass that you can put on, and basically Facebook or Meta or the metaverse, however you want to define it, can start adding ads over people's lives, imprinted on walls, whatever it may be, that will be a huge source of potential revenue for them in the future. And then on top of that, you fill in the practicality of potentially having a glass or a contact lens that basically you can pull up a monitor of your computer in front of you without anyone else seeing it. You could pull it up on a wall, you could pull up a keyboard on a desk and basically type whatever you want. There's really no need at that point to even have a computer, because you could basically have a contact lens that you are pulling up screens all over on, and then you are typing and doing whatever work you want to do and sending emails connected to the internet basically all of the time. And that is absolutely insane, the potential that you could have there with basically disrupting the cell phone industry, disrupting the internet just in general, disrupting, monitors and other chip sales, anything like that. If the technology goes to where I'm seeing it going in potentially in, 10, 15, 20 years, I think there is so much more potential there than what a lot of people are making out. With that, however, you have to invest a lot of money to get you to that place. So we have seen, as of June 30th, nearly 16 billion had already been injected into his vision for the future for basically mediocre results. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Obviously, there's been a huge downturn in the economy, and that's had a huge effect. But at the same time, people are expecting results from a $16 billion investment. That's a lot of money, to have very little results to show for it. Reality Labs has recorded a second quarter operating loss of $2.81 billion. In the first half of 2022, losses amounted to $5.8 billion. And then in 2021, Reality Labs lost $10.2 billion. So this is obviously just a huge money loser at this point, but that's what you see from a lot of startup companies. And we've talked about this before. Meta has made that transition from basically being a growth company. They started to kind of transition into a value type of company over the last couple of years. And then in the last year or so, they have transitioned back into a growth company. And that obviously affects a lot of investors. There are a lot of investors that don't want to be in growth. They want to be in severely undervalued companies. They want to be in, very steady, throwing out cash flow, very predictable business models. And that is not what Meta is going to be for the next 5 probably ish years. They are going back into that growth phase where they are investing a ton of business to potentially grow what Mark Zuckerberg believes in so much, and that is the metaverse. I mentioned this point earlier in the video, but Mark Zuckerberg's wealth, so he's putting his money where his mouth is, right? He is a large owner of Metaverse and Meta as a company. And what that amounts to is, if the company fails, then he is going to fail too. And his personal fortune has actually shrunk by $77.7 billion since January. Again, this is before the crash from the earnings announcement. So it's been even more than that. I think it's actually surpassed $100 billion, which is absolutely insane. So it's not like Mark Zuckerberg is pulling money out of the company and, doesn't believe in it. He is all in on this vision for the metaverse. So to Michael Burry's point, what we have seen here is that basically what he's saying from this tweet is that Meta is a big mistake for Mark, and that it is likely that the company will make a U-turn and basically Meta/Facebook will go back to what it does best, which is social media. And where he's getting that reference of basically Meta being the new Coke. So new Coke was introduced in April Basically, Coke and Pepsi had a kind of battle going on for market share in 1985, and basically Pepsi had a sweeter formula, and Coke actually changed their formula. So they changed their formula to a sweeter formula, and basically it turned off a lot of their existing customers. Basically, within a couple of weeks of changing their formula, they had 5,000 phone calls a day from customers basically saying that they did not like the new flavor, did not want it to change. And then that number jumped all the way up to 8,000 a day, so much so that they had to increase the number of telephone operators that they had. And then also, basically a lot of these complaints just focused on wanting the old drink back and wanting things back the way that they were. And then actually 79 days after the initial announcement, Coke held a press conference in July 11th of 1985 and basically said that they would return to the classic Coca-Cola formula. So this is kind of what basically Michael Burry is getting at. He is expecting that Mark Zuckerberg at some point in the near future will look at all these losses from the metaverse and just say, enough is enough. We are going to go back to being a social media company and just, throw off millions and millions and millions of dollars in cash flow. And that's kind of his expectation, and basically there would be billions of dollars in losses until that point. But that's kind of just what they're doing right now with trying to focus so much attention on the metaverse. And basically Michael Burry thinks that's a mistake. So obviously this is all my opinion. I personally do think that there is a lot of upside, a ridiculous amount of upside with the metaverse. Again, that is just my opinion on the stock and on everything that I see going forward. I think there's a lot of things that could be positive, and if executed right, I think that this could be the future of a lot of, the internet and that whole basically industry. So again, just my opinion. Let me know your opinion down in the comment section below. I got a lot of good comments on the last video that I did on Meta that were basically contradicting my opinion. And I think that, it's always good to look at the other side and basically be considerate of it and understand that it is a potential, because it helps you, basically manage your portfolio better. Because now, looking at Meta stock, I do still want to put a little bit more money in Meta, but I also think that, staying diversified and putting more money into Google and other companies is also a benefit to make sure that you're balanced across a few different industries. So again, all my opinion. Hope you leave a comment down below and let me know what you guys' thoughts are. I really do appreciate all the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like down below. And if you want to see more videos like this one, make sure you hit that sub button, guys. And as always, have a wonderful rest of your day.